Hello everyone, my name is Jen and welcome to the Book Refuge. Alright, hello friends and welcome to another oddly specific romance recommendation. And today we are doing ex-cons and felons is what we're doing. Now I have done a prison recommendation before, which included some like prison escapes and stuff like that. So those other videos that I have like this, I will link up above. I believe this one was actually a request in my video request form, which I do always have linked in the description of every video. So if there is a video idea that you have, you can always check that out. But we're going to dive into these recs that I have. And I believe that I didn't include these ones in any previous videos, but there may be a little bit of crossover. But for the most part, there was two books that actually inspired me to do another one of these videos, and I'll talk about that when I get to them. Now, these books, a few of them definitely are dark romance because you find a lot of ex-felons and criminals within the dangerous element of romance. But there are also some that are actually a bit lighter, and it just includes people who have been in prison before. But let's go ahead and start off with one of the books that inspired this because I just adore this one. And this author actually showed up in the prison recs that I did because it's one of the few she's one of the few authors who actually did like prison romance back then. But the one I'm recommending is Tower by Claire Kent. Yes, I had to do this because our hero in this one, Levi, he is a, I don't think he was escaped criminal, but he had done time as part of like a biker gang. Look at him. This is so sexy. And this is actually the first book in the post-apocalyptic fairy tale series that Claire Kent is going to be doing. And this one is, if you can't guess by the, stylized of this is a retelling of Rapunzel very loosely. We have this girl who for the first, I think this one's 3 years into the apocalypse. Yes. Her father has been keeping her safe in their home. Now, not in a trapped way, literally like keeping her safe in the home because he has a beautiful daughter. He knows that bad men will want her. And so he is keeping her safe that way. But then her father dies, unfortunately. And so she's forced to make the choice to find a strong man to take care of her, which again, that is kind of like Hold by Claire Kent in that find the strongest man and make him yours. So she makes this offer to Levi that if he'll protect her, she will be his woman, basically. So yeah, and he is an ex-con. Now let's say it doesn't have a ton to do with the story in this one because this is an apocalypse, so who cares who is a felon or any of those things, but just letting you know. This one is cute, so much fun, and I mean, for being an apocalypse novel, mostly it's a bit lighter than some you might see out there. So just keep that in mind. But yeah, absolutely love this. And you can get this specific edition from her website, but you can also buy an edition that's just like a little bit bigger or get the ebook from Amazon for sure. Okay, the other one that inspired this video, I might as well share that right away. And that is a recent release as well, which was Branded by Saffron Kent. Now, I hadn't read a book by Saffron Kent in a very long time. I read a few of hers like way back when I started reading darker romances. She has a few forbidden age gap ones that I read. But this was a new release that is a dark cowboy who has just gotten out of jail. And she was actually pen pals with him, part of this program of writing to criminals. And she's also doing, I think, like an assignment that has to do with it as well. But once he is out, she learns that he actually was writing her under a false name and false pretenses, which she can't really be too mad about because she also has lied about her name and who she was. But the difference is her lying about who she was actually leads to him kidnapping her because he thought that she was a part of a family that he is enemies with and that he's trying to get back at. So things get very, very sticky for them. So yeah, this is a dark romance. There's definitely a whole page of trigger warnings and content to learn about. But if you do like rugged cowboys, if you like some spicy sex scenes, if you like some angsty, I can't help but be in love with you feelings, this one definitely has that in spades. Let's throw in a lighter one again with the beginning of the Bailey brothers, okay? So when you start off the Bailey brothers, there's actually this duet that is called Protecting You and Fighting for Us. And so Protecting You is actually a shorter book. It is a lead up into the Bailey Brothers series. And this is about Grace and Asher. And in the beginning, it is a like best friends to lovers thing. And then something bad happens and Asher ends up going to jail. And so in Protecting You, we see them in love as young people. We see the events that lead up to Asher doing what gets him put in prison. And then there is a pretty uncomfortable cliffhanger there for us, right? But then when you pick up Fighting for Us, it comes up many years later after Asher has been in prison and now he's getting out. And Grace has been his fiance this whole time, or so she's thought. But Asher thinks that being tied to a criminal, being engaged to him is not good for her. He feels very broken by his time in prison. And so he thinks what is best is for him to break things off with her. But Grace, she's a tenacious girl, okay? And she is not going to just give up so easily on this love she has with him. And if he wants to break things off with her, he's going to have to try a lot harder than just trying to ignore her, shall we say. This story will also lead you into what the feud is between the Baileys and the Havens. This whole series is just so wonderful. I love the Bailey brothers. They were my first books that I read by Claire Kingsley. Though funny enough, this duet were actually the last books that I read in the series because I started with book 3 because I was reading it for a book club. And then I just went forward from there. And then I finally went back and read the duet in the beginning. So yes, Fighting for Us and Protecting You and Fighting for Us are ones where the hero was is a ex-con, basically. Okay, now let's do a historical quick. And this is one that I do believe I put in previous ones for sure. I think I had in previous listings of this. Did I like ex-con? I don't know. But this is one I love. This is The Taming of the Highlander by Lisa Braden. And this one involves Broderick McPherson, who had been put in jail as kind of like revenge. And once he has gotten out, he barely survived with his sanity intact. In fact, he's not that sane. He has PTSD from his time in there. And once he's out, we have Kate Huxley, who happens to be visiting her brother, who has become a Scottish, I can't remember if it's a laird or what he becomes, but that's book 1 when that happens. And so she's there visiting him, and she ends up witnessing something that she shouldn't. And so to prevent her from having to testify against Broderick, she's like, how about we get married and then I can't testify against you. Now, Broderick, he does think Kate is very beautiful, but he thinks himself way too broken to put a poor girl under his attentions or anything. And so he very much is like, we're going to be married in name only. But Kate isn't going to let him get away with that as easily as he thinks she might, because she is a stubborn lass for sure. And she also isn't put off at all by his scar and his eye patch that he has to wear. She's not put off one whit by that. And I think that is a bit off-putting to Broderick, but also very he just doesn't know how to handle this woman who wants him so much. Let's just say that as well. But I love this. This series does begin with the making of a Highlander, which, as I mentioned, is about Kate's brother. And that is even a spin-off from the Rescued from Ruin series. Elisa Braden, I hope her health is doing well and that she continues to write, because I really, really enjoy her historical romances. And we just shouldn't lose any more of our historical romance authors. No, we shouldn't. Okay, let's throw in another dark one. Now, this one I'm pretty positive I've had on another list, but I had put out a post on Instagram asking if people remembered some ex-con romances, because I was just having trouble thinking of more. You guys know I like to be able to recommend, 8 to 10 romances if I'm doing an oddly specific rec, which is just so fun. I've been making rec videos for so long at this point. It makes me so happy. I never get tired of doing it, guys. But this is a classic for sure. This is a classic in the dark romance genre. And I can't believe this one only came out in 2018. It feels like it was ages and ages ago. But yeah, this is Welcome to the Dark Side by Gianna Darling. I will admit that this is one of the books by her that I have not reread, because I am scared that I won't like it as much. Because looking at the type of content that it has and what the setup is, I don't know that 32, almost 33-year-old Jenn would feel the same way about it as I did like 7 years ago. I don't know. But this one involves this wonderful girl. No sense. Lulu, that's what it is. Oh, it was right on the end of my tongue. And this book involves actually a young woman having cancer. It involves her writing letters to him while he is in prison. I believe part of the reason he's in prison is that, I can't remember if he rescued her from something or what happened. Oh, he saved her life. He saved her life as a little girl. And when she had cancer, they didn't think that she would live. And it literally says he offered to show her the dark side of life before she left life for good. But what she didn't know is that Zeus was the president of the fallen MC. And when you made a deal with a man who's worse than the devil, there's no going back. That's right. But I do know he spends a good portion of time in prison, and she writes some letters to him. And then once he gets out, I believe part of the reason this one is so taboo is that they do fall in love when she is still underage. So yes, as a 32-year-old, I don't think I would like this as much as I did back when I was really into the really taboo romances when I was a bit younger. But Zeus Garo is such a crusty cinnamon bun of a man, where he's grouchy and grumpy on the outside, but inside he's so kind and loving. He really is. And I think you especially see that in the other books when he's dealing with his own children, which, by the way, are like the same age as his wife, basically. So there's that. But this is a dark motorcycle romance with an ex-con and a very messed up life. So, it's not the type of story I always read anymore. But if you like the more taboo and you're okay with it, there's no judgment here. Just because my tastes have migrated doesn't mean that yours have to, or that you don't like it anymore, right? So, Gianna Darling, this is the book that really, I feel like, sparked a lot for her. So, give it a try, maybe. Okay? Give it a try. All right, let's stay with the dark here for a few of these, because we do have some other, Mafia-style ones here. We, of course, have Unchosen Ruler by Maggie Cole. And this series actually has a few ex-cons in it, specifically because this one is Liam O'Malley, who is meant to be the heir of the O'Malley family. And both him and one of our other heroes, what's his name? Let me just look. It's literally over here. Finn. They both go to jail at the same time for a crime that happened. And they're in there for a very long time. And when he comes back out, the world is so different. Like, can you imagine going in before, smartphones were really out there? You would feel like you came out to an alien planet. And so he's been in for a very long time. And then we have Haley, who I believe she's a first grade or kindergarten teacher. And she's friends with some of the women who are married into the mafia at this point. Because this one is book 6 in the series. It's the first book in the O'Malley books. because there's 5 that are the Russian ones and there's 5 that are the O'Malleys. So you can start with this one if you'd like to. But they end up connecting because of the people they know. And she knows that he's a bad boy, but she's actually really kind of turned on by that, even though she seems like she should be Miss Goody Two-Shoes teacher and all that things. But she's just very attracted to this darker side and everything. And Liam, he's attracted to the goodness in her, and also that she is still feisty and sexy. And I remember one of my favorite things in this one is that she actually makes him a like reward chart. I'm just gonna tell you this, of like if he's able to make her body do certain sexy things, there are like rewards. Which is very much her like teacher coming out. And I just remember thinking that was so hot, and I just loved it so much. So I had such a good time with it. But anyway, there are definitely a few twists and reveals in this one that connect with other books in the series, but you can pick this one up and read it just as you want to. And I really feel for this guy too, because one of the things in this book that was really heartbreaking as well is that he gets put in prison, and his father has been barely holding the family together because he's very sick and he's actually dying. And so when his son comes out, he really has to kind of speed run getting Liam up to scratch with what's happening in the family, so that he can rule when he dies, basically. Sorry, I don't know why it was so hard to get those words out. I was getting distracted by a squirrel on my deck, so sorry about that. So there was just a heartbreaking piece to this, because not only has he been in prison all this time, but he's missed these years with his dad that he can't get back, and it's very sad to see that aspect. Okay, then there is one of my 6-star reads from last year, which was Sweet Prison by Neva Altai. And this is another case, well, they all are of someone going to prison, but this is another case of letters being written in prison, right? This is like the third one of these that I'm sharing that did this. But our heroine is actually the younger stepsister of the hero, and this one is Zahara. And the way this was is that her father married Massimo's mother, and there's a big age gap between them. But he was closer with her older brother, and when her older brother gets murdered, Massimo kills the people, or the man who killed his stepbrother, right? So now he's in prison, but he's actually the heir to this part of the family crime business. And so while he is in prison serving his time, which I believe ends up being, let's see, what's it say? Is it 16 years? 18 years? It's a long fucking time, okay? So Zahara was literally a child when he goes in. She hadn't really lived with him at all. There was no like brother, sister vibes at all. It was purely in like name only. And so she ends up starting to write him when she's a teen, and he's really uninterested, obviously, in writing his younger stepsister, who he wasn't even close with. But what keeps him writing to him is that she ends up including some tidbits about the world outside, and they're tidbits that don't line up with stuff that Zahara's father is telling Massimo. So again, Zahara's father is Massimo's stepfather, but he's been running some of the business while Massimo's been in prison, and some of the things he's saying are not lining up with what Zahara is telling him. And so he ends up beginning to use this mail with Zahara to send secret messages where she will update him on if his orders are being followed, and he is able to spy on and actually call out the people who are fibbing to him. So that is a good chunk of the story. Then we get to a part of the story where he actually gets out of prison. And now, him being in love with his stepsister, he didn't even realize that he was. So, surprise of surprise, he's like, oh my God, I am in love with my stepsister. This is wrong. But he's been so bent by his time in prison that he doesn't really actually give a fuck. He just wants peace. And there's this level of peace that Zahara is able to give him. In fact, Massimo even has this like inner demon that he listens to sometimes. And at first, this inner demon is like, just use her for what we need. Like, she is, you know, useless to us beyond this, or whatever. And then slowly the inner demon starts to fall for her as well. And then things just get really complicated for everyone. Like, they just do. But Really, really love this one. It was a 6-star book for me. I love how Zahara becomes the only one who can really help like heal him. And yeah, I just love that type of stuff. It makes me so happy. Okay, then let's quickly do one. So I actually have one fan fiction to share because I just wanted to. I love reading fan fiction, and though this year I haven't read as many as I wanted to, I still have read a few. Though this is one that I read last year, and this one is called Bloody, Slutty, and Pathetic, and it's by the author What Murda. And this one, we actually have a Draco who spent some time in Azkaban, and now that he's out, we have war heroine Hermione Granger, and they're forced to wed as part of Shacklebolt's controversial Reconciliation Act. So to help make things better, to help with relations in the wizarding world, they're pairing people up who are on, you know, the bad side with some of them. And which better way to show that peace is really happening than having Hermione, who is like the, you know, war heroine and is a mudblood, married off to Draco, who his family is obviously so against that. Now, there's also an added part of it is that Hermione has this scar that was left by Bellatrix that's cursed, and it is causing her a lot of pain and damage. But what they discover during one of the fights they have, yes, this is a very toxic relationship, is that she gets some of Draco's blood on her wound. And because it is the blood of the Black family line, it actually starts to soothe this wound that she was left by Bellatrix. So now there's a reason for her to be close to Draco now then. But now this one was a very slow burn, but it is very bloody, slutty, and pathetic. And Draco, he is a hoe for her a lot. Now there's also a side story in here that is Neville and Pansy. That is amazing. Okay, it's wonderful. And I do believe that just recently, the follow-up to this one, which is Dirty, Flirty, and Vindictive, is that focuses on Neville and Pansy. And I recently downloaded this one, so I want to read that one too. It is also literally just as big, if not bigger, than Bloody, Slutty, and Pathetic, so it's going to take a very long time, and I'm sadly not able to give myself fully over to it right now, but I want to. So anyway, Bloody, Slutty, and Pathetic, I will leave a link to it down below. You can get it on AO3, or Archive of Our Own is what that means. But I really, really enjoy that one a whole bunch. So yeah. Okay, then, and this was one that I almost forgot about, but I knew that Pam Godwin had an ex-con in one of hers. She has one that takes place in a prison actually as well, but I couldn't recall which of hers it was. And then I remembered it was another cowboy one, that is. And sure enough, books 3 and the Trails of Sin is booted, which I have this beautiful copy of now thanks to one of my patrons. And this one actually involves, hold on here. Let me pull this up. This one is Raina is the heroine and Lorne is the hero. And I'm just going to read the blurb for this because it's been a long time since I read it, but I knew that one of hers had an ex-con in it. So let me just read the blurb for this one. This says, the night I'm released from prison, she's in my bed. It's been 8 years since I touched a woman, and the Native American beauty is half-dressed, beaten, bruised, and devastatingly exquisite. We're toxic together, but we want the same thing. Blood, vengeance, violent relief in a warm body. Beneath her touch, I'm alive. Against her skin, I'm redeemed. Buried inside her, I forget the past, until the past takes her from me. Prison made me cold, but losing Raina makes me cruel, ruthless, unforgiving. I killed before. For her, I'll kill again. I'll end this once and for all, or die in my boots. So yeah, I believe too, the story with this one is that Raina, let me pull this up here. is, of course, there's going to be lots of emotional trauma and everything in this one. And I think that Raina had something to do with Lauren's dad. It's been so long since I read this, you guys. I really apologize. But I think part of it, of who they want revenge against, is they both want revenge against Lauren's dad. The dad causes problems for the characters in this books all the way through. But you probably should start with Knotted to get the full build up to everything. But if you want an ex-con romance, this is the one right here. Love this. For her, I'll Kill Again, which is wonderful. I love Pam Godwin. She never misses. And then the last one, let's end on a happier, lighter note than a few of those others. Though, to be clear, because I know some people, when I use that language, you're not sure. All of the books I've talked about have a HEA. I only talk about romance on this channel unless specifically said otherwise. So all of these have a HEA. I just mean, let's talk about a book that's a little bit lighter and happier the whole way through. And that's Hold the Line by Julia Wolf. This is another 6-star read of mine. And actually is another one of the books that inspired this video. But I definitely was thinking of Branded and Tower when I put it together. But this one is about Deacon Slater, who, honestly, this is one where he did go to prison for something he didn't do. And the heroine in this one is Phoebe Kelly, and she is a bakery owner, and these two actually become neighbors. Now, they actually knew each other when they were in school as well, and Deacon was from the wrong side of the tracks, and Phoebe is from the Kelly family, which is very well off, and so there was definitely that kind of tension between that, but they never had problems with each other in school, and now he is her neighbor, and she's just trying to be neighborly and give him her lovely baked goods. And he just seems very grumpy and closed off. And at first that really hurts Phoebe. But it doesn't take long for her to start to realize that he's very closed off for a lot of reasons. He doesn't have the gentle childhood that she did. And there's just a lot of hurt and pain that is all layered on top. Also, they have a breakthrough moment when she discovers that the reason why he keeps rejecting her perfectly wonderful baked goods is because he is actually gluten-free. He is like allergic to peanuts, not gluten. I don't know why I say gluten. My best friend is gluten-free, and I've been trying gluten-free recipes to be able to make things for her. So I'm sorry, that was in my head. He's allergic to peanuts, and when he was in jail, he had a few really close calls where they weren't giving him things that were vetted properly, which I can't even imagine having an allergy in prison. I can't imagine prison at all. This video is actually like, it is a horrible thing to me. Like, we make these ex-cons and stuff out to be sexy and hot, but being in prison is, you know, as close to being inhuman as you can get. And as a true crime junkie, I'm not saying there are people who don't deserve being in prison by any means. Not saying that. There's some people, lock them up and throw away the key. However, there's no worse place on earth for an innocent person to be than in prison, because you've lost all of your rights. You have no body autonomy anymore. You have no like protection anymore, and not even having control over like what you eat, basically. Like, that's a whole other level in here that I can't imagine. So definitely wanted to recommend this one as well. And then I didn't even have this on my list, but when I started making this list, I hadn't read this book yet, so that's why it's on here. I actually just finished reading Lawless God by Lola King. Now, I don't want to talk too much about it because that was my Patreon read of October, so my review is exclusive to them right now. But that one does also involve the male main character was put in prison by a lie that the heroine tells. For 4 years, she goes to prison, and now he's out, and he wants revenge. So that's also one to add to the list, and I'll put it in the description box below. So there you go. Those are my recommendations for ex-con / felon romances. So definitely check those out. Again, I will link the prison one I've done, and if I've done another ex-con, which I can't remember if I did or not, I will link those up there. So thank you so much. Please make sure you like this video, subscribe to my channel. It really does make a difference. YouTube has been killing me lately. I've been having some pretty significant drops in subscribers, which people can definitely leave whenever they want. Like, I am not for everyone by your means, but I also have quite a few people who, when I put a question out on my group, say that they discovered they were unsubscribed and they don't remember doing it. Now, people can always lie about that. They definitely can. But if you're someone who likes watching me and this isn't a hardship, would you double check that you're subscribed here? Just make sure that's clicked, and make sure that you follow me and like hit the bell so that you get notified when I put up videos, because I also have a lot of people who are saying they're not getting notified when new videos drop. So thank you so much for watching, my friends. It means the world to me, and we'll see you next time. Bye.